Today's episode is for the high-achieving woman who has her life together, but still wonders why love and relationships can feel so complicated. I'm sitting down today with Sascha Haert. He coaches high-achieving women on finding love and opening their hearts, and this conversation goes way deeper than just dating tips. We're talking about why it's so hard to stay open right now, and what open your heart actually means, and the biggest blocks that can keep women from real connection. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, you're on the dating apps, you're going out there, you're meeting people, but love still isn't clicking the way you want, you're going to feel very seen in this episode. Well, Sascha, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you here in LA. You're from Germany.
Yes.
How did you get into this work, and how would you describe what you do?
Well, those are two pretty loaded questions, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, how did I get into this work? It sounds corny, but I kind of fell into it.
Mm-hmm.
I was in this role of being the glue in between different people all the time, from my sports basketball career, being the captain of the national team, coaches, players, delegations. In the entrepreneur world, same thing, always the guy in between the departments.
Mm-hmm.
And in my personal life, it was always women coming to me for advice, for and then I had a bunch of random moments of women, even in restaurants, they're sitting on the other side. They're taking their bowl and they're sitting right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they just start talking to me and tell me the deepest, darkest, most intimate secrets. And I'm listening, I'm there, I'm present. And at some point it's like, hey, can I ask you a question? It's like, yeah, sure. Why do you tell me all of this? You don't even know my name. It's like, I don't know. I just feel like I need to open up to you and tell you everything about me. And I have so many of these stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when the universe is kind of pushing you in a certain direction.
It's showing you what your authentic gift is.
But I was rejecting it.
Really?
I was like, no, I'm not that guy. I don't want to be that guy. Especially when I lived in Bali for a while. Everyone is a coach. And apparently it's the same here in LA. Like every second person is a coach.
And everyone has a podcast.
I'm like, I don't want to be associated. Like, I don't feel like they walk the talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to be associated with this. So I was like, no, that's not me.
But how do you then switch that to actually doing what you're doing?
There was a woman from New York. She very high level, and she found me. She started following me, and this was before I even had a proper Instagram account, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Hey, I feel like I want to work with you, and I want to pay you." I'm like, you want to pay me? Like, what do you mean? And it just snowballed from there, you know. And then when my dad passed away many years ago, I had to look into the mirror and really ask myself, like, where am I not speaking my truth? Where am I not fully living in alignment? And that was one of those pieces, like, oh my God, this is happening all the time, everywhere around the world, that I'm having these conversations and have this impact in one way or another. Not even intentionally, it's just like it naturally happens.
Right.
And then I was really leaning into it.
What do you think it is about you innately that allows you to see women the way that you do? Because I think it's a special gift to be able to disarm people. Not everyone can do that. Some people, naturally, their energy makes people more defensive or just doesn't allow them to open. But clearly, you have that gift.
Yeah, thank you. I love that you used the word disarm, because in many ways, that's what it is. I find so many women these days, they have such unhealthy, broken, traumatic experiences with men in general. And I'm coming from this fairy tale type childhood. I was blessed and spoiled with so much love, time, and presence in my life by both of my parents. Never raised voice, no slammed doors, no fights, you know. If we have a disagreement, we sit at the table and we talk about it like normal human beings.
Can I come live at your house? It sounds amazing.
Yeah, no, my best friend, when he came over the very first time, like, he's also from France, but we lived in Bali, and he's like, wow, I've never experienced this. He comes from a very chaotic house. And he's like, I've never experienced this. I came in. The first thing that my parents usually say is like, hey, look, what do you do when you're home and you're tired? You go to sleep, right? Yeah. What do you do when you're hungry? You go to the fridge. Cool. Okay. This is your home. Do whatever you want. Bedroom's over there. Fridge is over here. I'm not your butler, basically. So feel home.
Wow.
And that's kind of the energy that has always been there, you know? So I think, and this is probably more a question that women should answer than me, but like from my own experience and observation, it's a level of safety that for some reason energetically that they experience. Because a lot of them, even if you just smile at a man nowadays or being a bit flirty in whatever way, men usually use it as an invitation to like, okay, let me make a move and try to get into her pants, for lack of a better word.
And we do, have to be aware of that.
Yeah. No, I get it. And a lot of men, they don't have the sensitivity to understand the difference between these two. Right. It's just a woman who's friendly and has a big, beautiful smile on her face, and someone who's actually maybe interested in more than just that,
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure you had plenty of experiences of...
Maybe one or two.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, maybe one or two. But I think in my world as well, I naturally can come off very friendly. But because the world is not necessarily a friendly place, I think it naturally makes us armor up, especially if you're a woman who's single, especially if you're a woman who has a lot to protect, and especially if you're someone who has a outward-facing profession like I do. I always have to be aware of how I'm presenting and how people view me, and I take that with a lot of responsibility. But people can take that as she's being very serious. And so I think when looking at what you do, you specialize in coaching a lot of high-achieving women, high-functioning women, in opening their hearts, in being able to live life more authentically and love more authentically. So it is really hard to find a balance between the two, right? Being someone who is aware of the world, but also wanting to move from a more free place. How do we bring the two together?
For me, it's two things, and they sound very easy to understand, but they're not necessarily very simple to integrate. It's two pillars that I like to incorporate in my personal life as much as I can and live in alignment with. And obviously my coaching practice is the same. It's truth and love. These two. If I can be honest and truthful with myself, the way how I speak to myself, the way how I can also see my shadows and really start learning how to integrate them, how I'm going to be honest with you and transparent with you, like really embracing truth for what it really is, right? As a very pure energy. And then I combine that with love. I can speak lovingly with you and with a lot of care and compassion and empathy. And I can still be truthful with you, right? You might not like it, but I say this in the most loving way possible. And also being loving to myself. We're often like the hardest critics on ourselves.
Yes, we are.
Right? And that hurts us so much. And I find if we can combine these truth and love, the way how we're communicating with ourselves and engaging and relating to ourselves and with others, that makes all the difference. All this mental acrobatics that we're doing all the time, and this like, oh my God, am I going to say the right thing? Did I say text the right thing? None of this matters. If I'm always coming just back to, wait a second, have I stayed in alignment with truth? Have I communicated with love? It doesn't matter what happens after. It's completely irrelevant because I know I can look back at this moment. No. I've communicated and I've handled and related in this moment, in this environment, in the most purest way that I could at this time. That's all that matters.
Right. It's believing that as long as you're doing it gracefully, there is no wrong move.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
So the women who come to seek your services or just your opinion or just, your wisdom, what is a typical example of the women that you coach?
High functioning, very successful. This could be the actor from Hollywood. This could be someone from New York who's like constantly in boardrooms or in Dubai or in Singapore or wherever. And either they are single, they went through a divorce and it's like, oh my God, I'm back in the dating game. I don't even know, how does this even work? I feel so lost.
That sounds familiar.
Right?
I've been there, done that.
Or it's the one who's currently going through a pretty messy divorce and like needs some extra help to find her own power.
Right.
I have this example with a client of mine. She was going through a really, really messy divorce. Still ongoing, like 2 years ongoing, And she really lost herself in this. And he had all the power because he just took it. And within just a few sessions, we completely flipped the power dynamics because I knew what he was doing. I knew where she was sabotaging herself and where she became extremely reactive to his button, like the buttons that he pushed. So we changed the dynamics and all of a sudden it's like, what's happening over here? I don't even know what's going on. And she felt so empowered and basically literally took all the control back.
What did you say to her?
I mean, this is like very bespoke, right? For every single person, it looks so different.
Right, of course.
With her, I would say I helped her to identify the most impactful triggers, how she loses her center. And then once we were able to identify the overarching theme when that happens, because it's not the individual story.
There's always an overarching thing of what triggers our reactivity.
Correct. Yeah. So you want to really, truly identify that. And then you can create a strategy in order to shift this dynamic and actually make sure she's not becoming reactive.
To then move from a place that is coming from softness and coming from love.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what are some of the basic principles that you think women are missing when it comes to finding love again in life, or maybe finding real love for the first time?
Staying in alignment with your value system. Too often I see women moving away from this for the sake of keeping the peace, for the sake of, wanting to please the other person, avoiding conflict, avoiding rejections, all these different pieces. And because of that, what happens, and I'm sure you with your divorce, you kind of realize this too, sooner or later you feel like you kind of lose yourself. And that only happened because you did so many small little choices and decisions that are actually not really in alignment. But the moment you actually, no, I don't care if you like this or not. This is me. This is who I want to be. This is what really truly feels aligned. This is honest and this is truthful. Then it doesn't matter if the other person walks away, because it's just a very quick way of filtering out all the men that are not really quite the right one for you.
I think that what happens a lot of times with women, because we want to approach a situation with, maybe I can make this work, or give it a chance. You don't know what you really want until you're in it. I think there's space for that. But I think ultimately what we're missing and what we're not allowing ourselves to do is to stay very firm on what we want. So making a list, maybe, I don't know if you suggest that to your clients, by saying, these are the, top 10 things that I hold at the highest value that I know I need to feel secure, loved, happy, everything in a relationship, and stick to that. But that's really the part where people miss, is that if I really want someone to be A, B, and C, but I meet someone who doesn't embody those characters, we start then compromising our own values to meet someone else. And that's where the conflict is inevitably going to start.
Yeah, true. I would approach it from the different side though.
How so?
I would say, rather than focusing first on what do you want, it's like, no, let's get very clear of what's absolutely not okay. These big non-negotiables, red flags, whatever you want to call it.
The deal breakers.
That's so much more important to really understand those. Because as soon as you identify them, then you can say, okay, I got to move away from this, because that's one of the big ones,
Right.
And a lot of women don't do that. They kind of have an idea of what we want and what we not want, but not really, okay, this is a deal breaker. I'm moving away. There might be a lot of things that are beautiful, but here's a big deal breaker. And that deal breaker all of a sudden gets ignored because the fairy tale fantasy version of it could. That's the problem.
Why is the fairy tale fantasy dangerous in these situations?
It's like when you wear pink rose-colored glasses, right? Red flags, they don't look red anymore.
That's so good. That's a really good way of putting it.
Right?
We romanticize the red flags. We think, what's an example of women who can romanticize a red flag in a man?
His emotional unavailability. And if I just do a bit more, maybe he's going to open up.
We take it on as a project.
Of course.
We want to save them.
Yeah. You love to be a savior. I mean, men love to be a savior too, don't get me wrong. That's just a human tendency, unfortunately. I've been in that role too. For a long time, maybe even I've rejected that path too, because I knew I was in my romantic partnerships way back in time. I was also the savior. I played that role perfectly. Coming from this amazing childhood and whatever, I took on all these projects. It was a mess,
I did the same, but we romanticize the red flags. And also I think we assign a different meaning to it by saying, well, this is just, if I want someone who's going to be a provider and is going to be really strong, then I should also ignore the red flag of this person having a bad temper, for example. But it's really staying aligned to I cannot deal with these things because these are really big triggers for me. If I'm someone who loves to be spoken to in a soft way, which I do, it's the biggest turn on. I shouldn't be dating a man who's hot-tempered, right?
Probably
Because it's
not.
going to trigger me.
But don't you think it's interesting what you just said? If we bring it back to truth and love, right? You're like, we are assigning a different meaning to the thing. Meaning you stop being honest and truthful to the actual thing that's right in front of you.
Right.
That's the problem.
It's really hard to stay grounded in what we truly want, because unfortunately, survival mentality and also just insecurity that we all carry, we think this is as good as it's going to get. I'm not going to find someone with the other good qualities. We're always settling.
Yeah. I think the problem is here also because we believe there's no one else that we can have that type of chemistry with. And yes, chemistry is the beginning of, like I'm attracted to you, there's chemistry. Okay, now we're leading from there, right? Then we have to look into, okay, what's the compatibility after? Are we actually really aligned? Our value systems, the vision of life, the lifestyle, is this really on the same page here or not?
Right.
But it starts with chemistry.
And then how do you communicate that to someone? Your values in a healthy way so that you're not pushing people away?
With truth and love.
Give me an example. A proper way to approach a man, because I think men and women communicate very differently.
You said if someone speaks a bit more harsh and you love someone who's very soft-spoken, if I'm speaking more strongly to you in some ways, you're like, hey, look, Sascha, I noticed what my nervous system really needs is a bit more softness. And when you become really loud, I'm contracting. I don't feel safe anymore. So if we want to continue just to move forward in some sort of a way, then this is really something that I need, I want, I desire. So you're speaking your needs, you're speaking your wants, you're speaking your desires in a soft, calm way, not to offend him, not to attack him, more like, that's what I need.
Right. Instead of, I think the sensitivity here is not turning it around on the other person and making them defensive by saying, you yelled at me and I hated that, but rather making it about you and saying, this is what I need. And I would really like for you to meet me here if you can. And if you can't, that's my deal breaker.
And this is something they wouldn't even say, if you can, that's a deal breaker, because now you're pressuring him, right? That's an observation that you say what you want and need, and then you keep observing. If those boundaries are being broken over and over and over again, well, then it becomes very clear. It's like, okay, that man doesn't really want to meet me where I want to be met. And I've communicated this kindly, softly, with a lot of love and care and grace, and still he doesn't want to meet me. No problem. There's 4 billion other men out there. You're clearly not my man then. It's okay.
Why are we not taught this from inception? Because we could have saved decades, Sascha. Why did I have to learn this now and not in my early 20s?
I mean, there's so many things that are not been taught in school, right? Unfortunately. And I feel like I was very blessed and very lucky to have had the childhood that I had, because it's not like my parents taught me this. I've observed it, I've seen it, I lived it in some ways, So it wasn't like, hey, do it this way and do it that way. It was literally just an observation. It's almost like my parents gave me the love boot camp,
I love that you mentioned the 2 principles. It sounds very simple, but if you can truly make sense of that and always come back to it in your decision making, it really is very powerful, because our bodies tell us when we feel uncomfortable in a relationship with someone. For example, when you said, I constrict, I know now when my body is telling me this doesn't feel right. But we ignore that because we think of it as butterflies or tension, and tension can sometimes feel sexy or interpreted as chemistry, but it really shouldn't be hard.
Tension is amazing, I think. We just have to differentiate what kind of tension, because if there's some attraction and sexual tension, it's lovely. It's amazing, right? It's the best thing ever, basically. But if that tension is actually a completely different one, we need to be able to decipher between these two.
Right.
And unfortunately, that doesn't happen because we just mix it all together in one big thing, and then it becomes very confusing.
Right. I'm going to ask you some of the questions that I have written here, because I really want to dissect your mind while we have you all the way from Germany. When you help women open their hearts, what does it really mean in real life and not just on Instagram? Because I think so much on Instagram nowadays, the message comes off confusing. But it's what we all, it's so much of what we use, right? Social media, TikTok, for little relationship advice, that the things that we all share and we internalize. But how do we really, carry it through in real life and know the difference?
I think the most important piece in order to open your heart is to speak truth, to just honor your emotions, express your feelings, living in alignment with your truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this sounds sometimes more challenging. I believe it's actually not as challenging as many make it in their minds, because as soon as you integrate, like, oh, wait a second, it doesn't matter what happens after this. If I'm just living in alignment with my value system, my principles, what I like, what I don't like, what I respect, what I'm not okay with, where here are my boundaries, it becomes so simple all of a sudden, because you don't even bother thinking so much about like, whoa, what's going to happen because of this? Because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense, because I think we're operating from a place of fear.
Yes.
And the need to control.
But what do you fear?
Anything. I'll give you an example for me. If I speak my truth, my fear is that conversation in itself is going to feel very ick.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels uncomfortable, right? Not a lot of people are naturally confrontational, even in a soft way.
I love that.
Huh?
I love that.
What do you mean? The ick?
When the conversations become a little bit more tense, it's amazing.
I can, because I can go to the depths with anyone. I'm a very, very, very deep person, and almost too deep for most people. So I have to reel it back. And I find a lot of people don't have the depth to meet me where I am. And so I have to really spoon feed it sometimes. That's personally my thing. But I think everyone has a block that stops them from being their most authentic and aligned selves in relationships. Control is another one. A lot of women who are used to running a household or a business or their lives up until this point have a really hard time letting go control to the person in front of them, because they're afraid of getting hurt. They're afraid of someone wasting their time, misrepresenting the situation. Fear is a big block. Alignment sounds great, but life really does get in the way, because we have so much to lose, including ourselves.
Yeah, true. I mean, I get it. And I find it's still, that's one version how you can look at all of this. For me, for example, any type of challenging, difficult conversation, I want them, because it's an opportunity to connect deeper. If someone is open to it, right? If they're not, well, that's already a sign. Okay, where's the capacity of what we're capable of here in terms of creating the depths of the relationship?
Right.
Right? So there was a time in my life where I realized the most challenging and difficult conversations I can find are actually going to push me the furthest, like so much further in life. So what I did is like, okay, let me find every single person where I feel like I have some unexpressed emotions, feelings, thoughts towards, for whatever reason. I'm like, I'm going to have these conversations. And I learned
really
this at
beautiful.
a very young age. And there's two different approaches what we can do, right? The typical psychology approach would be the controlled exposure therapy. Someone who doesn't really know how to deal with that intensity of this challenging conversation. You tell them like, okay, let's start with something that's not so difficult. Maybe you've been a bit late. I'm like, you know what? I'm German. I really don't like if someone is not on time. I feel like my time is respected. I feel like I am respected. That's a small little thing. Right. But other things that are much, much bigger. And if you take small things and you're learning, oh no, I can handle this conversation. I can deal with this intensity. Like I'm not feeling overwhelmed. I'm not losing my shit. It's like, okay, cool. And then you gradually improve and you increase your capacity of what you can hold in terms of the intensity. The other approach is like you start with the most challenging and difficult thing that you can possibly find. And yes, it's going to be clunky. And yes, it's not going to be your best conversation ever. But the amount of release and liberation that you're going to experience when you actually have that conversation is so tremendous. And every single conversation after that is not as challenging as the one that you just had.
Right. So the challenging conversation with family, with friends, with a coworker.
Anyone.
Why not have them, right? Because it opens us up. And what's the point of life if we're not going to do it authentically?
Right.
But again, that's a key component. I think most people get lost. We spoke a lot about social media and how we present as opposed to how we truly are moving through the world. There's a big disconnect there.
I think we have to understand we all have multiple hats to wear at different times. And it's not necessarily only about compartmentalizing them, but understanding when do I have to wear what hat. You're in media. Okay, now I have to present a certain way. Now I'm at home. I'm a mom. So now that's my hat.
Right.
Now I'm a lover. Now I'm a woman. Like all of these hats, all of these different personalities and characters of you, they're here to exist. It's not just one or the other. It's more about like integrating all of them rather than shying away from some of them.
Right. I love that you said start small with the conversations. I think that's so important because it's all a part of self-mastery. Learning where you're not being the most truthful and starting there. How did you start applying this in your own life? Because it's one thing to teach it. It's another to embody it.
Honestly, I had coaches around me my whole life. And yes, it's much easier if someone else from the outside looks like with this 30,000 foot point view, it's like down, it's like, hey, let's look at this piece. Like here, you're kind of like, I don't believe what you're saying. There's so much value in having someone from the outside looking in to show us these blind spots, And yes, the more you do that, you kind of learn to, being honest with myself just pushes me forward so much more, Yes, it's confronting. Yes, sometimes it's very conflicting. And yes, I don't like necessarily all the things that I'm going to see. But what's the alternative? To ignore that piece? It's like, if you have any type of trauma here, right? And I know it's here, but I'm like, I'm going to look this way. I know it's here, but like, I'm just not going to look at it. That piece has power over you. So much. It's impacting you because I don't even allow myself to look that direction. But the moment I turn around and I look at it, it's like, oh, okay, what's here? Let me have a relationship with this. What do you actually want? What do you need? Why are you here? Why are you bothering me? Let's find out what needs to happen so we can actually have a more harmonious relationship with each other. It's not about like pushing that trauma away. It's actually integrating it and learning how to make this your friend in some way or another.
Right. Our traumas and our triggers are our greatest gifts, greatest teachers for what we need to transform. Oh, I love that.
So what do you think was the biggest issue in your relationship, in your marriage, that it fell apart?
I wasn't honest with myself from day one.
There you go.
I can rationalize it now as a 39-year-old woman, having grown so much in life, but I didn't know myself at 21. So I think time was certainly not on my side, or my immaturity, just lack of life, lack of knowing, and also how I was raised and all the contributing factors. But also I needed to grow up before I made the big decision to give my life to someone or dedicate and devote my life to someone. I needed to grow up, and I didn't do that. So I took a lot of time, and I'm still taking the time to grow up because now I feel like a 21-year-old all over again. But I approach it with a lot more humility. And I do talk to my triggers, I talk to my traumas, but it's the implementation that's still difficult.
Which part?
I think communicating exactly what we want.
Okay, there you go.
It can be difficult.
I always say the communicating with someone is not just an exchange of words. It's actually, I think it's an opportunity to dive into way more intimate depth with this other person than words can ever describe.
Right.
And we forget, And yes, this is the other piece with words, right? It's the thing that we use the most in order to communicate. And yet it's the piece that has the opportunity for most misinterpretation.
Right.
So it's really important to speak very clearly and very purely, meaning truth and love, coming back to these two. The more pure I can actually the more pure I can bring an energy to this exchange here, the more you'll be able to understand me. If I'm holding back in whatever way, shape, or form, you might not feel it, but we're making the water more muddy.
Right. It's not a game of chess. It's matters of the heart.
Yes.
So we need to approach it all with more light and less judgment.
Yeah.
because we're trying to now, like a game of chess, predict how our words are going to land, how they're going to make the other person feel, and what outcome is it going to provide us back. So now we're 5 steps ahead instead of just
being here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
There you go.
It is simple, but it's the matter of doing, because 39 years of working in the other way, and not to say I haven't been truthful in other things in my life, I have, but I think it comes in layers, and it's all a part of evolution, and the world has to merit certain reactions from you to show up this way. How do you feel about modern dating? And when I say modern dating, I think you know what I mean, with the dating apps and the way people approach each other.
I'm very upset. I mean, I don't know if you know this. I don't like dating apps at all. I think specifically for women, it's the worst thing that could have ever happened to them.
Why?
Because usually what you will find, the associations and beliefs that you're going to develop towards men, if this is based on your experiences on dating apps with men, there's a lot of low quality, low effort type of men that have only one goal while they're on these dating apps. And I'm generalizing here, right? So it's obviously not all men, but there's low effort, low quality. Let's just figure out a way as fast as possible how to get into your pants, how to like get into a sexual kind of conversation, pretty much like on the first or second like text message even. Like the things that I've heard from my clients, what they experience and read and see in photos that they've been sent is horrific.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's bad, right?
I mean, I've only been on one dating app, Raya, which is more exclusive. So I think the quality is different. And my dating pool is older. Older meaning, not 25. But no, I know what you mean. I have younger cousins and they tell me all the time that men are just dogs. And I'm sure women are worse, in their own ways. But...
Well, here's the other piece with dating apps, right? Women and men, actually, because of the swiping, just one after another, we're moving away from connecting, and it becomes more like a shopping cart.
Yeah.
So we're not really doing anything in order to allow love to circulate in our lives, because like, no, grass is greener on the other side. Another one. No. And we're making these decisions within seconds. If we meet in a bar and there's this acknowledgement and you can feel like, ooh, there's something, that's a totally different way of connecting with a human being. Now, obviously, there's a lot of men that don't really approach anymore, which I hear all the time. It's like, oh, no man approaches me anymore. And especially if you're gorgeous.
That to me is a red flag. If you can't approach me, it's a red flag.
Well, I think you're also partially responsible for that too. Because if you don't give me the signs, and I don't mean like just one cute smile one time and then like that's it. Like most men are not going to approach you. Why? Because no one likes rejection. We're also humans. Like, this whole idea of like, yeah, a man should approach me and all this traditional stuff. Like, yeah, that's beautiful. But actually, if you really want to go back into the tradition, it was actually the woman who made the first move. She dropped the handkerchief.
Society, yes.
Yeah, she dropped the handkerchief and basically created an opportunity for him. It's like, oh, excuse me, you lost your handkerchief. Now you're having a conversation.
I agree. There has to be the smile, the openness. Yes, I am ready to be approached.
I think there was a study, and I can't remember the exact date, so don't quote me on that. But I think they found it takes about like 19 signals from the woman before the man is actually properly approaching her.
Wow, what are some
like
of
not
the
just
signals?
one smile, like eye gazing, like moments of like acknowledgement, smile, maybe like So it's not just one time, and I was like, oh yeah. That's exactly the moment, the thing that so many women are annoyed by. Oh, I just looked at him for 1 second, and all of a sudden he's approaching me, and like I'm not even interested, right? So it takes quite a few signals for us men to actually approach that woman.
Yeah. No, you're so right. I think in LA, some men can also be very aggressive and not thoughtful. I remember a couple months ago, I was at a very hip restaurant here in LA. It's called Voltaire. And on Thursday nights, it's like a scene. And it's it's older, it's more quality. And older, I mean like mid-30s and up. And it's a quality crowd. Good-looking people. There's a standard. And I'm walking to the restroom and the maitre d' approaches me and he says, excuse me, there's a group of men, they're at a table and they would love to get to know you. May I please show you to their table? And I looked at him and I said, I would never, ever approach a man's table. You can tell them that. And I just walked to the restroom. And they did everything to get my attention that night, and nothing worked, because that's not the way to do it. What would you suggest to men who are listening who want to approach a woman at a bar? What is the high success rate way?
I think the easier, the more simple you make your approach is like, hey, I just saw you. I'm fascinated by you. I love your look. It just something pulls me towards you. And like, my name is Sascha.
Right.
And how are you doing?
Perfect.
Simple.
Right.
Like all these like lines and all this other bullshit. It's like, no, just like be authentic, be real. It's like, wow, there's something that's just like,
yeah.
Do you have a spark?
I think though, with the dating apps, unfortunately, it's a numbers game. And a lot of like high executive like dating app people will tell you, modern day dating is very much a numbers game. You're supposed to go out on 5 dates a week so that you can find one person that you want to kind of focus on. What do you think about that?
Oh my God. Like, forget all the numbers.
I've actually interviewed psychologists who have said the exact same thing. It is a numbers game.
That's one way how you can approach it, right? It's the volume. And especially for men, it's way more volume than for women. Because if you want to go out and meet a man tonight, you can.
Yeah, it's not hard.
For men, like, I think 4% women swipe right of actually, it's like, oh yeah, I like this. 4% of the time. 4% of the time. It's basically nothing. And who do you swipe to? Well, the good looking, handsome, like successful, whatever, like, oh yeah, that looks, every woman is going to do that.
Right.
All the other men, like they're not in the top 10, 20% or whatever, they get no swipes. It's hard out there for a lot of men. You don't know what this is, and I'm happy for you. And I don't know what that is either, this is like the pretty privilege, right? That it's true. Like, we can ignore it, or we can just acknowledge the fact, like, yeah, that is a thing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's unfortunate because all the personal character, like, yeah, someone can be good looking and they can still be a dick.
More often than not. This is LA.
Anywhere. Trust me. Everywhere I go, and I'm really traveling around all the time to all the big cities, New York, LA, Dubai, Sydney, you name it. Every woman says the same thing. There's no good man out there. Dating is so hard. Everywhere.
I never said that, to be honest.
Oh,
I've never
nice.
said that. I think there are great people out there. And I've met a lot of great people who just weren't for me. Or because in the first 2 years of my divorce life, I wasn't dating with any intention. I could not be bothered for any serious relationship because I was dating myself. But I think when your intention changes, you can meet great people. It's just a matter of, are they for you? But I also never bothered to be on a lot of dating apps because that was never my cup of tea. I'm busy. So if I'm going to go out with someone, it's probably going to be that one person that I want to focus on instead of going out on 3 dates a week. I never had that time.
And I also don't like this dating advice that you find online a lot. It's like, go out on many dates, date 3-4 men at the same time, and wait until you find the one that actually, like, oh yeah, that feels good. I think that covers up the underlying issue, which is, well, because you don't have the capacity or the ability to make sure it's like, okay, this man is not for me, so I'm moving away from it. And then I'm going to focus on the next one. Whoever the next one is, like, no, now you're dating multiple at the same time because you don't have the backbone almost to realize, no, he's not the one and he's not the one. And oh yeah, that may be. So I'll put my attention and focus on this one.
Right.
Like, this idea to dating multiple people at the same time, I find it horrendous.
I could never do it.
Right?
I'll be honest with you. I've never dated more than one person at the same time. Maybe in the beginning, there's some overlap, but like this person's on their way out, for example. Sure. But I can't do that.
Yeah.
Because I think it's polluting the energetic field.
Correct.
And I like to keep those channels clean so that you can think clearly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're dating so many people, you don't even know, like, you might forget that his favorite color was blue instead of green. And you're going to confuse the people. I think with social media, we are given so much content. It is disguised to make women feel soft or to make women feel empowered, but really it's just making them hard.
Yeah, I mean, look, the problem with the modern world of life, not even the modern world of dating, is it became like we're living through a screen way too much. So what happens is we just forget how to connect between two human beings, how to have a normal conversation, how to lean into the friction and the tension of like, oh, there's an attraction. Wow, that's a gorgeous woman. Like, I don't even know how to do this because all I do is like swiping left and right. How am I going to approach her? You know, so I feel like we're disconnecting the thing that's connecting us more in some ways, because it's so easy to stay connected from around the world now, but it also disconnects us so much more, especially in the area of love, which is sad, you know. That's why I'm also not a big fan of dating apps, because it's just perpetuating the problem. We're not really learning how to be with each other,
right,
and have a normal conversation. It's like, oh, there's a bit of friction here. Next, because that's what I learned.
Right,
swiping.
And you're so right. And I think people, because of what you just said, we're so dependent on phones. Yes, we should look for the real life situations where we can energetically drop in. So if I like to play tennis, which I do, I'm going to go and try to just be present in my tennis space, not be on my phone, but actually look around, see who's here. Maybe there's someone I'm going to find attractive, and maybe not convince myself, but sort of up the energy to approach this person or to give them that energy and focus on that, because getting good at actually being in someone's presence is a lost art.
Yeah. I almost want to go one step further. Rather than looking, it's like, oh, who am I potentially attracted to? Just live your best life. And I know this sounds so cheesy, but for us men, what we find most attractive is a radiant, big smile, gorgeous, amazing woman. And I don't mean gorgeous just like in terms of beauty, but just like her character, her persona, her radiance, like these type of things. Like, ooh, who is this woman? Like, she makes me feel something just by the light that she brings into the room.
Right, her energy.
That's what's so attractive to us. That's what makes me want to approach you. You know?
You said something really beautiful there. What else are men looking for? How else when you look on social media nowadays, or just women out there, what are we doing wrong? How are we getting it wrong where we're not actually showing up in a way to attract a man the way you just said?
Well, I think one thing is the self-protection. For like a lot of women, I find they think they're open, and they play this game of not necessarily you need to chase me, but like you really need to win me over. Like for a good man, it's like, I don't want to win anyone over. Like either we're having a reciprocative, like, what do you call it? Like a reciprocation in the way, like the dance, exactly, thank you. The dance of, I like you. And it's like, oh, I'm really interested too. It's like, okay, I can still pursue you.
Right.
But like, don't make it hard for me. Like, I'm not interested, you know, why do I want to fight to like win you over? It's like, no, I want my woman, the woman that I want to be with, the woman that I'm attracted to, like be equally attracted to me. Otherwise I feel like, oh, now she's playing games and I have to, why do I want to do that? I want this to be easy and effortless and like smooth and fun and exciting, not like I'm on a battlefield right now and I need to figure out my way. How do I get into your heart?
But again, it goes back to what women are taught. Make it hard for him so he can earn it. I'm not saying this is what I believe. I'm saying this is what I see. Because I have friends who are single. I see things on social media. Women DM me. It's all out there, right? It's in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
They say, make him earn it. Make him chase for it. Men value what they earn. How do you balance that?
No, that's true. But I think you can still make him earn. Maybe earn is even a strong word. You can still make him like, let's just use the word earn. You can still make him earn like you're really for me to get into your heart. But that doesn't mean like you need to make me earn to be in your presence. Right? There's a big difference. And I think another big piece of advice that a lot of women unfortunately don't really follow is the intimate connection. How quick, how fast do you go into an intimate, sacred space and allow a man to go there with you? That's often the problem, because that happens way too fast.
Right.
So a lot of men, once they have the final trophy, basically, if we want to think about the hunter, right, they lose interest. So don't give him that straight away. Yeah, make him earn this piece, because that's so sacred, and that's a union that you really want to like protect.
Right.
But that doesn't mean like you need to protect like me just being in your space and us spending time together and, you know, sharing like a heartfelt conversation in time.
Yeah, that's the only thing I want to give my time to be honest, because I don't have, and that's part of the reason why I didn't date for a long time is because I didn't want any superficial connections. It's when you go through something major in your life where you are trying to reset even your heart and the way you look at the world, you don't want the superficial connections or the superficial pursuits because it's going to, again, dirty up the energetic field. I think life in general or relationships in general, it's a mirror. So what I'm going to put out is what I'm going to get back. So be very thoughtful about what you are putting out into whom. And then when you find someone that's a match to that, truly move from a place of love, place of authenticity. But you have to be very conscious that it's all a mirror.
What do you find is the biggest challenge for you as a woman now in dating?
I think it's really understanding what I truly want in someone. That is, and in dating, because I think it's really understanding what is my core value system, because it evolves with time. I think when I first approached dating, I had like the 1 through 10, the things that you think you want. And then as you get into it, you think, is that really what I want? And is this what's going to make my soul sing in 5 years? Because they may look great on paper, but where I'm going in life, and I know the trajectory of where I want my life to go, is this the person that's going to be my person in 5 years too, and not just today?
How do you how do you figure this out then though for yourself?
Stop thinking. Trust my feelings.
Yes.
Follow my heart.
Yeah. I think that's one of these big pieces that a lot of women forget. It's like you have so much power if you just think about like the connection that you have to your intuition. Just very, very strong. And yet it's been ignored so many times. As you said, it's like, I was with this man. I knew it from day one. It's not the one. And it has been ignored. You have no idea how many women that are going through divorces that I work with, or like went through a major breakup. And they're like, when did she know? It's like, before the wedding, on the wedding day. Yeah. Before like said yes. Like so many times.
We know. And you just don't want to admit it.
Exactly. So you're not being honest with yourself. Right? And it's really important this is confronting. I totally understand this. It's very confronting to us like, oh my God, I made that mistake because I knew. I didn't pay attention. I didn't want to see it. I ignored it. Right. And yet here I am. I made that decision. There's no one else responsible for this but you or me, whoever, We have agency over everything. Yes. And it's confronting, but it's also beautiful because if you understand that you have agency and you're actually in charge and control about anything and everything that happens in your life, that means you can also, moving forward, change it and bring it back into alignment. But first, you need to accept the fact it's like, this is all on me. Has nothing to do with any other man out there. It's all me. It's all you. That's so true. And I know exactly what you mean. It takes a lot of self-awareness to move through the world that way, but it is the basic principle and where we should all be starting. Yeah. Knowing everything you know, have you found love? I have plenty of love in my life. Yes. Good. Yeah. Sascha, thank you so much for being here. This was so fun. You're such a cool person to talk to. I feel like we could do this for hours. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that. Of course. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of the time in LA. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Breaking Through with Ellina Abovian. For our community to grow, please like and share, and also leave a review on this episode. Of course, you can find me on social media and let me know what you'd like to talk about in future episodes. Nothing is off limits, so let's have some fun.